Hi there, thanks for joining us today. My name is Tally Lerner. I'm with Dominion Energy, and today we're going to go over the Engineer Explorer program. First, we will hear from Bill Givler with the Boy Scouts of America. They put together this Explorer program in different fields, and then we will hear from Kevin Curtis, who'll give some information about engineering at Dominion, engineering in general, give you an idea of what you can expect from this field. And then I'll wrap it up with some information about how to sign up for the program and what to expect from here. And now I'll go ahead and turn it over to Bill.
Hey there, welcome to this webinar. My name is Bill Givler, and I'm with the Boy Scouts of America. You're probably wondering why you're hearing from someone with the Boy Scouts of America about this engineering program. The program is part of the Explorer program that we offer. Exploring has been around since 1970. It's a co-ed program for high school age youth to learn about careers. We offer lots of different kinds of Explore posts, and they're all based on a partnership between the Boy Scouts and community organizations and businesses that want to teach kids about careers in those fields. So this particular Explore post is a partnership between the Boy Scouts, Dominion Energy, and the VCU School of Engineering. And this has been one of our most successful and longest running Explore posts. The most of the meetings happen at the VCU School of Engineering, and executives and the staff from Dominion are the ones who come out and run the programs. We offer lots of different Explore posts in the area, and by joining this Explore program, you're going to gain access over the next year to other career topics that might interest you. The reason we do this, the reason the Boy Scouts have the Exploring program, is because we want young people to make good decisions about their future. There's nothing worse than going to college for 4 years or longer, accumulating some debt, and then starting a career path and realizing at some point that it's just not the job you want to do. So rather than going through all that, we like to give opportunities for high school students to get hands-on experience learning about different careers. And so that's where the Exploring program comes in. Kids can learn about not just engineering, but we also offer programs in architecture, law enforcement, fire, EMS. We have a broadcast journalism Explore post. We're just starting a Explore post that teaches kids about careers in law. So lots of different options. This is one of them. We hope that through this program, you're going to be able to make an informed, smart decision about whether engineering is the right career move for you. We hope that you decide that, but in the end, if you decide that this is not what you want to do, that's an okay end result too. We just want you to have information about what you're going to do with your future. So it's my pleasure to introduce Kevin Curtis, who is the Vice President of Technical Solutions at Dominion Energy. And Kevin's an engineer, and he's going to talk about engineering as a whole and what engineers do.
Hello, as Bill said, my name's Kevin Curtis. I'm an engineer at Dominion Energy, and I've been with the company for 31 years. I received my electrical engineering degree from North Carolina State in Raleigh. And in years partway into my career, I went to VCU and received my Master's of Business Administration. So the discussion today is associated with the engineering profession, and mine and Bill, and I think the intention of VCU is to give you some exposure into what engineering jobs and an engineering career might look like in the future. So we'll step through some slides and talk about the opportunities, the salaries, and then some resources that you can go to make an informed decision for your future entry into college and a career after that. Sometimes we'll talk about scientists versus engineers, and we think of scientists as those folks that investigate what is, they discover new knowledge, and then we think about engineers being those that create what has not been, meaning they make things that had not existed before. So engineers apply the principles of science and mathematics and create the link between scientific discoveries and commercial application and customer needs. Another way to look at that is to think about a perceived social need where engineers create the commercial applications. And in particular, if you think about the business we're in at Dominion in electric energy, engineers handle generation, transmission, distribution, energy efficiency, renewable sources of energy, and environmental and other types of solutions. I'm going to go through a series of slides now just to show you some examples of some major engineering achievements. The first one is the Three Gorges Dam over in China. It's 22 gigawatts. That's 22,000 megawatts. That dam by itself is almost equal to the size of the entire Dominion Energy portfolio of energy supply. So it's a tremendous size project. We'll also look at something that's a little simpler, but more of a civil type structure with the Skywalk in the Grand Canyon in Arizona. If you think about microprocessors and supercomputers, the Milky Way 2, which is a supercomputer in China. At the time, it was the fastest computer in the world. Some very tall and very complex engineering feats in Dubai in some of the world's tallest buildings. This first one is 2,700 feet, 160 floors. And to put that in perspective, that's 56 floors taller and almost 1,000 feet taller than the One World Trade Center. Another building over in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom Tower, 3,200 feet, 200 floors, a cost of $1.2 billion. The longest suspension bridge in the world, 4 miles long, over in Kobe. International Space Station, a joint research project between 15 different countries. The Super Collider in Geneva, where they do experiments on super colliding of atoms, particles into other elements and looking at the results. There's also a super collider in Newport News at Jefferson Lab that does similar work on a little bit smaller scale. And then this is a picture of one of our many solar farms in Virginia and one of the many solar farms in the Dominion Energy portfolio. If you're watching the news about Dominion, we're adding more and more renewables to our energy fleet, and especially in solar, with some wind possibly in the near future. What jobs are there in engineering? We would say that the job opportunities in engineering are expected to be extremely good over the next decade, next 2 decades. Typically, your entry-level jobs require a bachelor's degree of engineering. Starting salaries for these jobs are some of the highest of all college graduates, and it's strongly encouraged. And in most cases, if you want to maintain a certain job or certainly maintain your license in engineering, there's continuing education that's required, which is important for engineers to stay plugged in. Think about those advancements in technology that we've talked about. There is a lot of technical achievement that takes place over each year and each decade, and so it's important for engineers to stay informed about what's happening in their industry. If we look at jobs available in the U.S., there's roughly 1.5 million engineering jobs currently in the U.S., and they're split up roughly 36% in manufacturing, 30% in services, and another. Every state, every city, large and small, have some type of engineering occupation, some more than others. Most of those are widely distributed across the U.S., although you'll see some more dominant petroleum engineering jobs in the Gulf Coast area, and aerospace will be predominantly on the Gulf Coast and in the state of Washington, where there are very active aerospace industry. If you look more broadly, just in general, of those 1.5 million jobs, how does that break out? It's roughly 300,000 that are electrical engineering jobs, 272,000 that are civil engineering, another 258,000 are mechanical, and 20,000 in nuclear. And if you look at the pie chart, you can see some additional classifications. Biomedical and agricultural are a little bit smaller. You can see the electrical, civil, mechanical, and industrial dominate the largest part of that pie chart. But there are also some other sectors that you might find of interest in: marine, materials, mining, and as we've already talked about, nuclear and petroleum. If you look at Dominion in particular, we have a wide variety of engineering occupations at our company as well. There are a lot of electrical and civil positions at Dominion, but we also have quite a few chemical computer, mechanical, and environmental functions at Dominion Energy. So you've seen the ratios and availability of positions across the U.S. in different industries, and it's just a perspective on the opportunities that exist at Dominion Energy, an electrical and broader gas energy company. In particular, civil engineers are expected to be some of the largest employers, largest opportunities for employment in the near future, primarily because of the needs of the nation's infrastructure, new bridges and new buildings, new roads, that type of thing that will drive the need for civil engineers. Environmental engineers are becoming a much more popular occupation. That's expected to increase about 15% over the next decade. It's a smaller subset of the overall occupation pie we showed on the previous slides, but it's expected to be one of the fastest growing areas in the future. Biomedical is another area that's becoming more popular. And then certainly nuclear engineering jobs and petroleum will continue to be very favorable opportunities going into the future of engineering occupations. So job growth for the top 5 are expected to be roughly 20% growth for civil, a 4% increase for electrical, a 5% increase for mechanical, the same for industrial, and then another 26% growth for petroleum. So it just gives you a perspective on what to expect for different types of engineering occupations. And all these statistics that I'm talking about now come from the U.S. Department of Labor. And you can go to that website and search for the Occupational Outlook Handbook, and it's up to date. Every couple of years, you can sort on different occupations and salaries and find some of this very same information. So if we look at compensation, we all hope to find an occupation that pays well and in an area that you enjoy, as Bill talked about earlier in the introduction. The worst thing that could happen is you spend a lot of your effort and energy and finances and accumulate debt over 4 or more years in college and then come out with an occupation that you don't really enjoy. This information is to help you prepare for that. And when you come out, it's important to know what you might expect to earn. And on this slide, we show a variety of engineering types, and the salaries range anywhere from almost 80,000 up to 130. And this is the average annual salary. We'll talk about starting salaries in just a minute. So great starting salary, and certainly a gap between what an agricultural engineer might earn at say 72,000, 75,000 versus a petroleum engineer. But there are more jobs in some of these other occupations. So I think the takeaway from the slide is that the engineering functions pay well. There's a lot of variety. If you're interested in engineering, then find a subset of that you enjoy and would be passionate about and want to make a career of. So let's talk about starting salaries for engineers. The average starting salary is anywhere from 60,000 up to say 68,000 for a chemical. So roughly all in the 65,000 range. And at Dominion in particular, we've highlighted toward the end, our starting salaries range anywhere from the high 50s to low 60s. So very comparable to what you would see nationally. So great starting salaries when you've gone to school and you're graduating and starting your career, to start out with a salary in the say $60,000 range. Some more detail on the perspective at Dominion and how the titles relate to salaries. We call our starting position in engineering an Engineer 1, whether it's a mechanical, civil, nuclear. They'll start out in that business with an Engineer 1 title if you're graduating with a bachelor's degree in engineering and starting your career. That range for an Engineer 1, not starting, but just the range for that title. And then we step to an Engineer 2, which is a little bit higher. If you had some experience before you started with an engineering degree, you might be able to come in as an Engineer 2. If not, an Engineer 2 is a progression path for an Engineer 1 after you've gained some experience and have some more responsibility. Same thing with Engineer 3. That salary goes up to 135,000. And at that point, there's an option to what we call a technical track or a management track. And as an engineer, you can stay on a technical track and progress to a couple other titles of a consulting and principal engineer. If you prefer to be more in leadership and maybe less in the details of the day-to-day engineering functions, then those titles may look like supervisor, manager, director. And there's not one track that's better than another. It's going to depend on your career interest at that time, and they're both equally rewarding. So if you're thinking about going into engineering, there are an infinite number of colleges to choose from. There are over 360 colleges that what we call offer an accredited bachelor's degree program. And I would highlight the fact that that's very important to look for. For instance, if you come to Dominion as a graduate with an engineering degree, you can't hold the engineering title unless your degree is from an accredited engineering program. There are other titles that you could have and you can still get employment, but they would be without the engineering in the particular title. For instance, it might be a technical specialist versus an engineer. So it's important to look for that accreditation. There are also 230 colleges that offer an accreditation program or credit program in what was called engineering technology. And that might be more in line with a technician type role that would be less office time and maybe more in the field or in a power plant. And that can also be very attractive and very rewarding financially. It depends on what your particular interests are. Your resources to help sort through what might be the best choice for each individual is your high school guidance counselor. I would also spend some time on colleges that you might be interested in and look at their websites under admissions and even reach out to the colleges to talk with folks in admissions to get some advice on what might be the best choice for you as a future college student. In high school, I would strongly encourage you probably already are, but take all the math courses that you can. Take a variety of courses, especially where you have some elective opportunities in the calculus space, because you'll get a lot of calculus in college in an engineering curriculum. Certainly, sciences and biology, chemistry, and physics, some of those are requirements for every engineering degree. Some might be more particular whether you're going into biomedical engineering versus electrical engineering, but any of those courses you can take in advance of getting into college will just help you be that much more prepared. And it's not just about the academics. Anything you can do extracurricular to develop your team building skills and working in groups and achieving goals as a team are very important. And whether it be in some type of club outside of school or in school, be something related to church or charity, doing some volunteer work. Also, there's value in hobbies and things like science fairs and robotics competitions, even political involvement, and certainly athletics. And there are a lot of other options out there for you that they add value to your interest and your development for being prepared for college. They also are very helpful on a resume to show the ability to not only take care of your academic requirements, but also be very involved from a more personal side in some of these outside activities. I mentioned earlier reaching out to guidance counselors at school and at college, colleges you're interested in, going on the websites. There are some other websites that I would encourage you to go view, and this is on the slide titled Research Resources. The American Society of Engineering Education has a website. There's the National Association of Colleges and Employers. I mentioned earlier the occupational handbook that had statistics on salaries and the percentage of jobs that exist and that are expected in the future. That's at the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics. And another one listed at the bottom with inspiration and recognition of science and technology. So with Google and the internet, there are any number of resources to go to that would be very, very helpful in helping you shape your future choice for college and career. So thank you for your interest in a future college career. I hope this has helped give you some things to think about and some additional resources that might be useful to you in your choices. I wish you the best of luck, and I'll now hand it over to Callie, who will talk a little bit more about the program itself and give you some contact information.
All right, thanks, Kevin. So, as for the actual program, there will be 3 sessions, the first 2 of which will be held at VCU, one on January 16th and one on February 20th, both at 6:45 p.m. They will be engineering activities led by real engineers at Dominion. Hopefully, it'll give students a chance to really get their hands into the field and get a better understanding of if it's the right field for them. So then the third activity or session will be held in mid-March. The date's still to be determined, but it'll be of Chesterfield Power Station, and there'll also be a panel at the end of engineers to answer any questions that the students hadn't had a chance to ask at the first two sessions. Now, if you'd like to sign up, go ahead and go to this web address. The address is case sensitive, so be careful of that. Please sign up as soon as possible, as the first session does begin January 16th. We ask that you sign up by January 10th if possible to give us an idea of how much materials to get. It'll be a $30 fee, but that will include the program fee as well as insurance should anything happen during the activity. If you have any questions, feel free to email hrstaffing@dominionenergy.com and someone will be able to answer your question as soon as possible. That's all we've got for now. Thanks so much for watching. We hope to see you at VCU on January 16th.